Hello, my name is Liz and today I'll be speaking on the poem Lady Lazarus by Sylvia Plath. It was published in 1965 in the poetry collection known as Ariel. The poem itself was written in 1962, just a few months before her untimely death in 1963. Sylvia Plath is a well-known poet. She's most known for her novel The Bell Jar, which was semi-autobiographical about her other mental issues. Lady Lazarus mainly focuses on her suicide attempts. She lists three examples. One was an accident, one was when she tried to go into the sea, and the third was when she took pills and went under her mother's porch, and they had to, quote, pick the worms off me like sticky pearls. The tone of this poem is morbid yet furious. Sylvia herself was just so enamored with the concept of death at this point in her life. She was so close to committing suicide when she finally did, that this poem was her way of getting that out to other people who feel this way and to convey her emotion. She didn't publish it on her own. It was published posthumously, as I said, which was after her death. So she didn't really have an intended audience at the time. Afterwards, you can definitely tell it was to share her emotion and depression. The context of this poem is purely talking about her suicide attempts. One of the best quotes of all is, "Dying is an art, like everything else. I do it exceptionally well. I do it so it feels like hell. I do it so it feels real. I guess you could say I've got a call." She wants to definitely convey the emotion of anger and sadness that comes along with depression. When people think of depression, they think of just purely sadness, and there's a lot of other emotions and anger built up in there. Definitely the meaning of this poem is that suicide may be the answer, and that is a totally unorthodox thing to hear, that sometimes suicide is the answer. But of course I'm not condoning this, and she isn't either, but that's a takeaway, sadly. And she's saying that some people are meant for it. That is 100% not something that I am trying to advertise, but Lady Lazarus. There are a couple larger references within the poem that help produce a strength of it, I guess you could say. It pushes it further. It produces a pathos and ethos like no other. She commonly uses Nazi references in all of her poetry. She has one called Father that is basically based on Hitler. In this story, she speaks of a Nazi lampshade, saying like it's a Holocaust reference. And she also considers herself a Jew Lenin. The Holocaust and Nazi references are oppression. She was a feminist writer. She was in a relationship that was, I guess, adulterated. Her husband cheated on her, the famed poet Ted Hughes. And so you really get a feeling of that from this poem. The reason I chose this poem, it's so strong. If you please excuse my cats in the background. It's such a strong poem. It produces such a feeling within, and I think that's very important for poetry, to produce an emotion, a cathartic emotion in which you say, well, maybe suicide is okay. Maybe it is her call. But she also references people watching her be depressed. The peanut crunching crowd shoves in to see. Them unwrap me hand and foot, the big striptease. Gentlemen, ladies, these are my hands, these are my knees. I may be skin and bone, nevertheless I am the same identical woman. The first time it happened I was 10. It was an accident. The second time I meant to last it out and not come back at all. I rocked shut. I was seashell. They had to call and pick worms off me like sticky pearls. She just wants people to understand what she feels. And I think the ending of the poem is really strong and really describes what it is. Hair God, hair Lucifer, beware, beware. Out of the ash, I rise with my red hair, and I eat men like air.